Percival James Patterson and Vin Lawrence had a particular association and relationship.
But tell me,
and
the
Vin
company,
Lawrence headed the
company.
UDC.
Marlon,
I don't know that they were
company.
business partners. They may have been. It's just that I do not know. I may give myself.
Marlon,
hold on, pause a minute.
Hold on a little bit. No, man.
Sure.
You have no evidence.
And then allow you to pose a question.
You have no evidence by your admission a while ago that Vin Lawrence and PJ Patterson was in business.
So just to be clear,
you said earlier that is a small country, and in naming people,
yeah, man, which is why I'm making the point.
Right.
So, in other words,
but there's a difference with Norman Brown.
Norman
Brown and the Prime Minister, they are business partners.
But Shaka,
active.
I am here.
Bless up my people. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And in this one, my people, a heated exchange in interview between Colin Bell and JLP Communication Task Force member Marlon Morgan. And my people, is an excerpt from the whole Portland Spice TV. So to catch a full interview, you have to go over Portland Spice TV. Go over there, watch it. Subscribe to the channel, like up the videos, and so on. And my people, for me personally, the interview was running smooth until Colin Bell touched on the whole topic of being uneasy as to the Prime Minister being business partners, actively having his business partner as the UDC chairman and the HAJ chairman when they are actively in real estate business, my people. And at one point, it seems as if he wanted to take over the interview, trying to convince us instead of answering the question directly. But people want to listen to the entire clipping and then run go over Colin Bell, my people. Notification shout out goes to I am Melodine. Big up yourself, Melodine. Thanks for the continued support, my people. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
Marlon,
but just before you come back, I was about to make the point because I had started to venture there when I spoke about the built-in mechanisms in our corporate governance framework to manage conflicts of interest, because we know that these things do exist. But when you have a person having regard to their affiliations and so on, and having regard to whatever business interest that they may have to make, they are under an obligation to make a declaration as to their interests, particularly business interests, so that you can avert the respective conflict of interest in the relevant case. For example, Shaka, just before you come to the question, because what I want, we don't have to rush this interview, you know. What I want is for your listeners and viewers to understand what is happening here. When members of parliament are elected, Zane, they have those persons who have an interest in business establishments or business entities. They make a declaration in the parliament as to their interest, and they indicate that they have an interest in a company that may from time to time do business with the government, meaning the government spends public funds, the government spends Shaka's money and Marlon Morgan's money, and the long and short of it, my friend, is that Fitzjackson may have a company, another MP may have a company, and those persons declare that they have an interest. For example, Norman Dunn owns and operates a pharmacy.
That came to mind. I was just about to say that to you, that Norman Dunn did make some declaration.
He owns and operates a pharmacy,
But Marlon,
yeah, go ahead.
Prime Minister and Norman Brown are in active businesses, including lands.
The development
Norman
of lands,
Brown chairs the UDC, which deals with lands, most of the lands in Jamaica, the Housing Corporation of Jamaica, and the minister is the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister and him friend, and that would be fair to say, and deal with a whole heap of the lands of Jamaica, while at the same time, the Prime Minister and him friend involved in a development. And you are saying that's okay with you. Let me just hold on, Marlon.
Because one of the things to be made clear, Shaka, is that we live in a real world, we live in a real society, and as persons in the political space, we can't be unmindful of the views or concerns of the Jamaican people. In fact, it would be remiss of me, it would be asinine of me to in any way suggest this morning that I do not understand and appreciate why a Jamaican sitting at home, looking at Norman Brown, looking at the Prime Minister, considering the proximity between the two, to not have a concern in their head that, but wait, probably this is just too much of a conflict of interest. Probably they ought not to, he ought not to have any association with these entities to the extent that they are entities where the Prime Minister serves ultimately as the portfolio minister. I can accept, I can understand, I do appreciate persons who have those concerns. Because I know the Prime Minister better than many. I do appreciate what he's about, and the fact that notwithstanding that that appearance of a conflict of interest, in addition to the built-in mechanisms that are there to manage conflicts of interest, that conflict of interest is being appropriately managed. But that is for me, that's my internalizing and my assessment of the situation. I do accept that Shaka's assessment may differ from mine. And I
tell the people why they shouldn't be concerned.
Say again?
Tell the people why they shouldn't be concerned.
No, man, I'm not suggesting. In other words, but what I wanted to understand what I'm saying clearly. I am saying first and foremost that I can understand and
why
appreciate.
They are.
In other words, I sympathize.
No, man, we get that. You understand
I am
why they're
cognizant
concerned.
of that.
But what should make them know comfortable with this?
That the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Michael Holness, has Jamaica's best interest at heart. He is a gentleman who has presided faithfully over this country for the past going 9 years. March will take us to the 9-year mark. As you have seen, he's someone who concentrates his mind and occupies his mind and time every day with ways and means to improve the lives of the people of Jamaica. Just Thursday, I think it was, yes, the Prime Minister was in his constituency handing out and handing over rather some houses in relation to a group of constituents who had been burnt out by a fire. That is the Prime Minister we have, who conceptualizes and uses the resources and largesse of the state to improve the lives of the Jamaican people, to put money back in people's pocket, to include that $20,000 reverse tax credit and another $20,000 that is coming up shortly, which is for persons who are not NIS pensioners, not on path, so you're not captured anywhere in terms of being vulnerable and in need of assistance. You will be eligible to apply for a $20,000 grant that will commence in February of 2025.
We're not just sticking to the IC, as I told him, Marlon. There's a whole lot of things I want to talk to you about. You mentioned that $11 billion that I am mad about. Let me tell you something. It's something that I am so upset about, you wouldn't believe. But I'm not going to that yet because I don't want to be all over the place. We talk about Norman Brown and the Prime Minister. Are you comfortable with a Prime Minister, Marlon, doing the amount of personal businesses as our Prime Minister is doing right now? The Prime
So
Minister
my answer, so let's be very clear.
Yeah.
So let's be very clear. The Prime Minister has made a determination that notwithstanding his business interests and business associations with Norman Brown, that Norman Brown, given his expertise and skill sets, is well placed and is competent and qualified to superintend the UDC and superintend HAJ, serving as the chairman of that board. And my response to you, Shaka, is that I repose confidence. I trust the Prime Minister's judgment. I repose confidence in the Prime Minister's judgment, and that is not an arbitrary reposing. I repose it because I am mindful of who he is, what he is about, what he stands for, but more importantly, because I understand that we have certain built-in safeguards, which is the difference. I want your listeners and viewers to understand that this morning. Notwithstanding business relations between Andrew Holness and Norman Brown, I repose confidence in what ensues, yes, because I know that there are built-in safeguards from a corporate governance standpoint where Norman Brown is concerned. Norman Brown would have had to declare any conflict of interest that he has, And if there is anything untoward in relation to his superintendence of UDC and the HAJ as board chairman, the respective Auditor General reports and investigations by the Auditor General, because just to be clear, in as much as a member of the public caused an investigation to be undertaken by the Integrity Commission into the entity called, into the development of Beverly Hills, if any member of the public or any member of staff at UDC or HAJ feels that there is any misappropriation, any maladministration, any malfeasance that touches and concerns Norman Brown and his relationship with the Portfolio Minister, Andrew Holness, then they can cause the Auditor General to come in and undertake an audit of the respective entities, those being the UDC and the HAJ, with a view to determine or decipher whether there's anything untoward that is at play. So just to be very clear, there are built-in safeguards, my friend. So I could easily put it to you whether you were comfortable with the fact that PJ Patterson in a dispensation passed, and a gentleman who you would know in PNP circles as having the moniker God. Who was God? The person with the moniker God.
You're talking Vin Lawrence.
Who was that person?
Vin Lawrence.
Percival James Patterson and Vin Lawrence had a particular association and relationship.
But tell me,
and Vin Lawrence headed the UDC.
Marlon.
I don't know that they were business partners. They may have been. It's just that I do not know. I may give myself.
Marlon,
pause a minute.
Hold on a little bit. No, man.
Sure.
You have no
evidence.
You have no evidence by your admission a while ago that Vin Lawrence and PJ Patterson was in business.
So just to be clear,
you said earlier that is a small country, and in naming people,
yeah, man, which is why I'm making the point.
Right.
So, in other words,
but there's a difference with Norman Brown. Norman Brown and the Prime Minister, they are business partners.
But Shaka,
active.
I am hearing what you're saying, and I find that in interviews where persons do not sing from the same hymn sheet that I sing from, they oftentimes don't necessarily hear what I am communicating. So I'm going to go it over.
No, man, we heard you clear.
I can do this with you all morning, and I'm going to go it over. I'm not in any rush.
We heard you clearly.
My friend,
I
started out by saying, I acknowledge that some of my Jamaican brothers and sisters, to the extent that Andrew Holness and Norman Brown are business partners,
and you active business partners,
at least in a private realm, and Norman Brown was chosen by the Portfolio Minister, Andrew Holness, to chair UDC and HAJ, I can understand, a member of the public feeling, a bit uneasy about that or having concern about that. What I would reassure that member of the public, however, what I would say to my Jamaican brothers and sisters who have any such concern is that I know that Andrew Holness means Jamaica well. He has been a faithful steward of our resources, as all the macroeconomic indicators will suggest, and as all the Auditor General report will suggest in terms of his stewardship of his portfolio.
No, the Auditor General report don't give him no good stewardship, brother.
Well.
I'm on a point of order. I'm just saying that the Auditor General report says the Prime Minister office over the last 3 years has spent $12 billion, which you don't get the financials for.
So let us not conflate or mix up issues. You are now moving on to this
and I don't want to move yet, I don't want
to move, General. Remember, I'm going to come back to the substantive points. I am walking you through the issues, because obviously we're in this conversation, and there are things that you are going to point to and so on. And it is my duty now in this conversation, madam, to deal with those things head on. So you have segued. So I'm going to come back to the primary matter of the optics and proximity and Vin Lawrence and PJ Patterson and so on, because I didn't draw that to draw a red herring across the trail. I simply drew that to make the point that persons in public life will have associations with each other. Nigel Clark, for example, used to chair the Hard Trust NSTA board. That was when Nigel Clark was in the private sector, but he was an associate of Andrew Holness. He was known by Andrew Holness to be a competent and patriotic Jamaican, and that was why he was situated at Hard to chair Hard's board.
Hold on, let me tell you
but
something.
I want to come back to the $3 trillion thing, you know.
No, man, hold on, let me tell you something that I normally shut down people on. When
Sure.
people are saying that politicians mustn't choose board chairman and all them something, I resent it because I said to them, the politicians are elected by the people.
It's an impractical position. Yeah.
No, but the politicians are elected by the people. Who you want to choose board chairman? People, somebody who is not elected? It can't work.
And I'll tell you more.
And let me finish. And the politicians must elect people that they know. People that they understand their competence.
They trust and repose
confidence. They trust. However, I don't believe that politicians should put their business partner to chair boards that come under their ministry. That is wrong, Marlon.
So I part company with you on that, because let's be very clear. Wickham McNeil, for example, served as tourism minister. Do you know the entity that has been, or the proximity between Wickham McNeil and the entity, whilst he was serving as tourism minister, that now operates the Puerto Rico beach, for example?
That now operates it.
That is correct.
Under JLP government.
Kenny Benjamin's outfit.
Under JLP government.
Yes. No, man, this would have been the Puerto Rico development, I think, would have been from the time between 2012 and 2016. That determination as to which entity gets to operate the Puerto Rico beach. So let's be clear. What I'm putting to you, Shaka, is a very simple concept.
But
our corporate governance framework has built-in safeguards to protect the interests of the Jamaican people. You may not agree with, in other words, you may not agree or you may not concur with me on this Andrew Holness Norman Brown matter. But what I'm telling you are some incontrovertible things. That we have a public, but let me enumerate the incontrovertible things. We have a Public Bodies Management and Accountability Act, which places certain obligations on entities such as HAJ and UDC. Irrespective of what we may think in our heads, irrespective of the discomfort that we may have as we sit in our living room and we come to learn that Norman Brown and Andrew Holness are business partners. Irrespective of that, we have a corporate governance framework where persons who have any conflict of interest have a certain obligation, not dissimilar to the obligation that parliamentarians have if they own and operate business entities, or if they have an interest in business entities that may do business with the government from time to time. There are ways and features, there are mechanisms to manage these things. That's the point I'm making. In short.
I would want you to come back on a Saturday morning when I don't have another interview. I have another interview lined up. I can push it back to about 10:30.
Yeah, man, we can go up to 10:30 then. That's fine.
But I'll want to bring it
back. But you had made mention of the, so just before we move from that, I said something earlier.
Prime Minister yet.
No, man, we don't move from the Prime Minister. Jamaica is about the Prime Minister, and importantly, Shaka, the Prime Minister is about Jamaica. As I said before, he gets up every day with Jamaica on his mind, and he's fixing up this place, and you're seeing it in all the macroeconomic indicators, whether it is the 3.6% unemployment rate, whether it is the inflation rate that is within the Bank of Jamaica's target.
And the poverty rate. Talk about the poverty rate.
Yes, we're seeing it in terms of poverty mitigation, because you just spoke about poverty a while ago. It is not as to whether, the question is not whether poverty exists. The question is,
it has increased under this government.
The Jamaican people, walk with me a bit. Have you been moving the Jamaican people from welfare to work? The answer is an emphatic yes, because unemployment is 3.6%.
I want to take you on all of that. But
before we do the take on, I just wish to make a comment about the so-called $3 trillion. Well, let me not describe it as so-called, because the truth is...
No, man, Marlon, no run got so yet. No run got so yet.
Oh, you don't? Okay, because you didn't raise it earlier.
No, man, we have got them, man. Because
there's no issue that you are raising.
But as I said, I don't want to be all over the place. So let's finish with the Prime Minister.
So we come back to the Auditor General.
Yeah, man, because I'd asked you earlier...
appropriations accounts of ministries.
I'd asked you earlier about the Prime Minister doing all these amount of businesses that he's doing while running the country, if that is advisable.
Well, let me tell you what the Prime Minister, the business that the Prime Minister is doing. The Prime Minister gets up every day and preoccupies himself with the business of Enterprise Jamaica.
What about the 3 companies
business
that he operates?
So pause a bit, because in this conversation, don't lose sight of the things I have communicated, Shaka. I'm appealing to you. I introduced the concept to you earlier. You may have known it prior, but I underscored the concept earlier in this conversation of a thing called sleeping partners in entities. So I may be affiliated, my friend, with a tour company, with a bus company, with a taxi operation, with whatever it is. I may be affiliated with an Airbnb or even a hotel.
He's actively buying stocks and bonds, so bring that into this.
However, in terms of the day-to-day operations of the entity, appropriate arrangements may be in place so to undertake. And that is what would enable me, or in this case, Andrew Holness, as Prime Minister, to go about Jamaica's business while someone else attends to the business of Imperium Holdings. It's not far-fetched, my friend.
But he's the one who dealing with the stocks and bonds and getting the loan of $50 million.
The Prime Minister may, because in other words, Shaka, we have a thing called, look at this thing, it's called a phone.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, man.
So we have information and communications technologies at our disposal. They are broadly referred to as ICTs, right? And you see, ICT enablement and the advancement of technology puts Jamaicans like you and I in a position to transact business via the touch of a button and in a split second. So when persons come and tell you about how many number of transactions the Prime Minister did over what period of time, as per the September IC report into this business of illicit enrichment, yes? What people need to understand and appreciate is that based on our communications and technology enablement at present, we're able to sit.
Word for word.
We are
understand that.
We are able to sit and transact business, give instructions to people at our investment houses. For example, at SSL, the Prime Minister would have given an instruction to liquidate his investment, and he provided a particular instruction as to a bank account to remit the funds
would you agree?
From that liquidated investment into his NCB account.
Would you agree that the Prime Minister,
at a drop of a hat, my friend?
Would you agree that the Prime Minister is the most powerful person in Jamaica?
I can understand why you'd make that comment.
Would you agree?
The most powerful outfit in Jamaica and person I would probably posit is the Chief Justice. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because I know why you go there.
Anyways, my people, there you have it. Tell me what you think in the comment section about that exchange. Tell me what an honest opinion in the comment section, my people. Also, before we close out this video, my people, we can link up Colin Bell. He sells Christmas cake for all of the Christmas cake lovers.
Now we're going to put in the cherry in the middle, man. All right. Here we go. Looking for the best ones, eh? Round ones. Seems like me send the fork too far into this one. But there we go, got it. There we go. Right in the middle. So remember now, any size Christmas cake. These ones are 2 pounds. We have 1 pound, we have 2 pounds. Any size Christmas cake you want, we will have it for you. So remember now, the Colin Bell Christmas cake, Portland Spice TV. Just give us a call. The number will be on your screen for you to give us a call, or one of the numbers is 804-7072. Other numbers will be on your screen. We can deliver and we can send it to you anywhere you are around the world. Thanks for watching, and please support the Colin Bell Christmas cake.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel on the road to 30K and beyond. Help me to get there, my people. Like up that one and share it out. Stay tuned for more updates. Stay tuned for more videos. Big up on yourself.